And that's a launch. There we go.
First official episode of DigiDads here, huh?
DigiDads, so you just decided just now? You just christened us?
I think so. I think that's what we're gonna do.
What are we? What's DigiDads? We have like 16 other names here that we discussed for about 10 seconds in total since we created this list
Well,
a month
I think
ago.
I'm gonna make the executive decision. I mean, I came up with 4 of the ideas, but I'm gonna make the final decision that we're going with DigiDads.
All right, hopefully no one sues us because I have not done any research on whether this is already
Uh,
a
I think we'll be
podcast
all right.
name.
I think we'll be all right. This is an inaugural episode. So, 2 dads here. Alex, welcome. And I am Tom. And we are almost lifelong friends. And we're going to be talking tech here from a dad's perspective, some of the latest news, and some of it will relate, to being a parent, and some of it will just be tech. But it should be fun. We're going to give our color commentating on how we see these topics and kind of go from there. You got anything to add?
No, full transparency. Tom, where are you reporting from?
Chicago.
And I am recording from New York City.
Nice. Well, I guess we should just get into it. So the first topic we're going to talk about is, so here in Chicago, at least, Verizon is going hard at this 5G home service. And I'm kind of on the fence on it, on whether I think it's going to be, impactful or if it's just going to be kind of a dud. But I think it's interesting to see the hype around 5G and whether it's really going to play out.
So for those of us in the audience that might not know what 5G service is, it's the next generation of internet, wireless internet. So LTE, what you're familiar with as 4G LTE, it's the next step or the next evolution. Besides faster speeds, what the real promise is lower battery life, or lower energy, so longer battery life, and really important is low latency. So connections to a remote server, like YouTube or something like that, is as fast as the connection between your computer processor and the storage inside your own computer. So it's super, super fast connections. And they're going to be applying this to Chicago, and they can do this in what formats do they have in 5G now, right? They have classical internet, like Wi-Fi style internet, and then they're entering
So what they're pitching here in Chicago, so I think 5G on the handset is not really a big deal for consumers personally. What I'm seeing here in Chicago, so I think the 5G is in 5 or 6 markets, and it just came to Chicago, and it's all over. I mean, billboards, my Instagram feed, everywhere. Of course, it's not available in my area, but what they're pitching is basically a little router in your house. It kind of looks like what you buy from Linksys or whatnot, and it'll tap into the 5G and allow you to basically replace your Comcast connection with a 5G connection. So I think they're pitching low-end speeds of 300 megabits and high-end speeds up to a gigabit.
300 megabits is not low-end speed in my world right now. I'd be lucky to get that out on T-Mobile.
No, but this is all fixed though. So that's kind of the main difference here. So this is fixed in your house, speed. So I think what they're really looking to do with this, at least, is to compete with your traditional fixed line broadband. So AT&T, if you are lucky to have not AT&T and have another fiber connection, or Comcast, I think is what they're really going at here.
So it's a really fancy hotspot.
Basically.
For your house.
Basically, without the battery, without anything. So, I think that's what they're kind of going at here. I mean, 5G in the handset world, I don't know. I don't think it makes any difference for the applications we have today, unless something amazing is around the corner. I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I do the speed tests around the city quite a bit, and I easily get, 40 to 50 megabits most places I'm at, which is plenty of speed, especially for a wireless handset. But I think from a home application, I think this will be kind of interesting to see if they can, compete with Comcast of the world and potentially drive down costs. Because I don't know if you guys have the same situation in New York, but I have basically Comcast or AT&T DSL, and so it's not even a fight.
Yeah, New York is basically like what neighborhood you're in, you're basically stuck. There's files spreading out, and they're the alternative. And like where they have entered, there's definitely some price competition now, but not all neighborhoods have it. On the 5G front, though, like I think like going back, I think there's like I see there's two angles to seeing this, right? The first is that I don't think 5G is as big of a step as they might have expected 10 years ago because the fact that everything is moving towards server side rendering now. You have games that like in the past, like a game that you ran your giant, uh, massive multiplayer games. You used to run that on your device, on your computer, on your PlayStation, on your Nintendo Switch or whatever it is, right? But now what you're seeing with gaming services is if you're drawing these really elaborate 3D worlds, you do that on the server side where you have tons and tons of computational power to crunch those numbers to generate these graphics and push those pixels. But then you're just sending an image, basically a streaming video, back to the device that's interactive. Like you don't need uh, as much bandwidth that you might have needed in the past. Like 5G, like it's basically like, are you see that much of improvement? Like you said, maybe you won't see that kind of improvement on the consumer side right away. But on the
Yeah, I
other side,
mean,
really quick, Tom, like on the other side, you start seeing virtual reality worlds and augmented reality, and we don't know what kind of bandwidth demands that's going to require, right? Especially if you're having like discussions, live interactive discussions, like we're doing now on this podcast. It's just our voices. Imagine like you projecting your face and your emotions, right? Like into my eyeglasses. Like that's what kind of bandwidth and what kind of like speed are you going to need for that kind of like application?
yeah, I mean, like I think that's really the key is like what applications that we haven't seen yet that will really take advantage of 5G. But I mean, from the fixed line perspective, I mean, I'm excited to see them if it drives down my Comcast bill, right? But I just don't see what they're proposing today to be a big enough. There's not really anything that differentiates it from calling up Comcast and having them come out and put a cable modem in your house. They're doing unlimited. Comcast is doing unlimited. They're doing 300 to a gigabit, which I think a gigabit is probably not going to happen during most times. Like I don't see enough of a differentiator unless they're going to be much cheaper, and where they have it priced here, it's not really that much cheaper than having my Comcast connection. I mean,
Not
I think they want $70 a month for unlimited, and like I said, it's going to range from 300 to a gigabit. I mean, I've got Comcast here. I've got a gigabit connection for like $85 a month, all in, with unlimited. So like, I just don't see their offering, at least right now, being compelling enough to like have somebody call up and switch away.
I think we have to watch and see how things play out. I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics right now in home broadband. It's gonna be interesting, but I think 5G is an interesting development. I think I'm for anytime there's a new player in the market that is going to challenge the old world, like Comcast. Any competition is good. Like we saw it with Google Fiber. We're seeing now wireless, and there's like the deployment costs are much lower with wireless home like this. They don't have to run like the last mile issue is not a last mile issue, right? That's like a huge competitive advantage over Comcast, who needs to lay wire right into each house. And Fios is having Verizon is having the same issue with Fios, right? Laying that
Yeah,
fiber is not cheap. So this allows Verizon to kind of jump that and save some money and like seriously possibly challenge them on pricing policy.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that's like the interesting play here, right? They're not really beating them on speed, but it's clearly like way less to deploy. And I think these 5G boxes that they're sending to people don't even require a tech. So you
Are they
basically,
charging for that? What's the rental price? Do you know?
that I don't know because it's not available in my area. So they won't let me like pull up the pricing. But basically, from my understanding, they just send you this box. And then once you have the box, you plug it in, turn it on, and you're good to go.
It's just
So you don't
basically a
need like a
router.
tech, but obviously like 5G is using millimeter waves. So you need to be really close to a tower in order to get service and get speed. So that's kind of the catch 22 is like it's available in Chicago. They're marketing it everywhere, but it's only in a very limited area right now.
Now, like you said, it uses millimeter wave technology. Now, there's some debate. Some people say it's conspiracy theories. Other people say there's real science behind it. I know there's some countries, international countries, that are looking at slowing down their 5G deployments because of health concerns. As a parent, Tom, what do you like? Are you concerned about putting a 5G box in your house and beaming internet at like crazy speeds with like unknown radiation?
Oh, I don't think the speeds have anything to do with the radiation. I mean, we've had cell phones for 30 some odd years now, and I I saw something like a couple weeks ago. The amount of radiation you get from like a day in the sun is like a multiple of the radiation that's outputting from these cell phones. So I'm not really concerned from a radiation or like output perspective. I'm more looking at like the tech side, like can I save a few bucks switching to Verizon, and is it going to be as good? Or am I going to be, is it going to be a situation where it's like Wi-Fi, right? It depends on where it is in the house, right? So I got to put it in one window is like the only place I get the best service. Is it going to be that kind of situation? Or is it going to be, I could put it anywhere and I'm going to get service?
Nice. I have not looked into this. I know that Verizon was testing this in New York. I'm actually reading a TechCrunch article now from September 26th, so not too long ago, saying test areas in New York City will begin. We'll touch 3 out of the 5 boroughs. Manhattan and downtown Brooklyn are not surprisingly the first focus of coverage. Specific breakdown: Manhattan, Midtown, Financial District, Harlem, East Harlem, Hell's Kitchen, and Washington Heights, my neighborhood. Hell yes,
There
Thomas.
you go. There you go. Who do you have now? Do you guys have do you have
We have
Charter?
we have yeah, we have Chartered Spectrum, who got their license revoked last year or earlier this year from New York City or New York State actually. So they are currently appealing that decision, but assuming that appeal stays, Spectrum needs to lead the state of New York, and then hand
That's
over
kind of
all
a
their.
wild, that's kind of a wild situation, huh?
Yeah, they're being forced, and I think they have to. They're like forced sale to like Comcast, all their assets and operations, like Comcast
Because
and like Cablevision.
Because my understanding, they didn't do a fraction of what they promised when they got all the easements for laying fiber. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I think that's one of many issues, but that sounds like the main one. But hey, New York City.
Yeah.
I am happy. Washington Heights is on there, so I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Thank you
Yeah.
for thanks for surfacing that, Tom. It's our first
Yeah, that'd be
mention.
interesting. You could be our guinea pig because as much as I used to hate Comcast, and I got to knock on wood right now because I don't want to jinx anything. But once I got my service up and running with them about a year ago, it's been rock solid, and I really haven't had to call them for anything. So, I mean, I don't really, believe it or not, don't have any complaints with Comcast right now. I feel like it's fairly priced. The speeds are always solid, and I just don't have any reason to like go elsewhere unless Verizon was like half the price.
I think a lot of our listeners are probably snicker with what you just said.
I don't disagree. If you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have said, "Oh my God, they're like the devil." That's why they changed their name from Comcast to Xfinity. To basically, their brand was so bad. But I just like I was really hesitant when I had to get them last year, and they've just been solid. Like once the service was set up, it works, and I don't really ever have to call them, which is probably why I don't hate them right now.
Nice. Full disclosure: I work at CNBC, a subsidiary of Comcast, NBC Universal. Now that
Oh,
that's out of
that
the way.
sucks.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. I love
No
you. Don't
problem.
fire me.
No problem.
I love you, Comcast.
um,
Please don't fire
yeah,
me.
right. I love you, Cable Town. So,
Do do do.
kind of on a similar like vein. So, like now we've got Disney Plus, right? Like running over those pipes, right? So we've
Yes.
got Disney Plus. We've got all these other streaming services. I mean, what do you see for like the next couple years as far as like these streaming services? Do you think they're all going to hang around? Do you think Netflix is going to be continue to grow, or like what do you think about this? What the scene is right now?
I see Netflix has got like they're like rollerblades or like that brand. where like everyone just knows like they own the industry, right? You Netflix and chill. You don't like HBO and chill, HBO Now chill, or you don't like Disney Plus and chill. Like you Netflix and chill. Like they've taken over that space of like streaming video in the consumer mindset. With that said, I think you're gonna see a ton more streaming services before you see some consolidation. You're gonna see everyone release their own streaming service. You see Discovery do one. NBC Universal's already announced Peacock, which maybe it'll be free, right? They're testing like a potential ad-supported free model there, not too like similar or not too dissimilar from Crackle back in the day, whatever they're doing now. But I think Netflix will continue to grow. I think they have a very strong stable of shows still. They're investing in content. It's not like they're like resting on their laurels. You know what I mean? Like they are buying big content. They're willing to spend the money to license and syndicate content. Even though they lost Friends, but I think they'll survive. But I think you'll see Netflix continue to grow, maybe slow down. I don't think that you'll see the record pace, but I think at the end of the day, people are going to have a handful, right? They're going to slowly roll off a cable, cut the cord finally, and then people just start testing. I think there's going to be a lot of free services. Apple's just giving you uh, Apple TV Plus or whatever. What are they calling it? Apple TV.
Yeah, Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus. So they're just giving you that away if you buy a device, or I'm sure there's going to be like holiday specials. Everyone's just going to give you service. So I think everyone's going to get to try see what they like, what shows they like. And you're seeing some consolidation in the industry. And then as people drop away and they know like I don't want to watch this because for whatever reason. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Netflix, to be honest with you. Like my opinion is like they're clearly spending the money on the content, but I think they're going to have to continue to raise prices in order to do that. And I just don't quite see the value in Netflix that I did 2-3 years ago, where there was a lot of stuff that I would watch and the price point was like, $10 a month, $12 a month. And, you were just like, well, for 10, $12 a month, I mean, there's plenty of content to justify that, right? Mm-hmm. And now when I go on, what I find is that there's so much content and so much of it is like not either for me or I'm not interested, that I find myself like scrolling forever and ever. And then you get fatigued and you're like, you add stuff to your list and then you get fatigued and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to watch anything tonight. I just looked at 400 shows and none of them really like struck a chord and I'm turning it off.
Does that sound familiar? How funny, right?
It's like ironic, right? Like with the whole cable thing, that's like the whole thing with cable. But I mean, a cable package is obviously like a multiple more than Netflix. But I mean, I'm strongly considering right now, at least deleting the apps off my kids' iPads, putting the PBS app on and then getting a Disney Plus subscription and see if and then we've also have Prime, right? Which is just like thrown in that everybody has now. So like between those three, the question is like, what big show do I need to be watching on Netflix? And I just don't feel like it's really there for me as an adult. I mean, I know my kids like eat up the content, but I think they might also like love the Disney Plus content where, it's the first time I've been a Netflix subscriber probably for 10 years, 11 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's like the first time I'm seriously considering whether I'm still getting the value out of it. And I think part of that is that all these services now are spending billions of dollars, right? Billions of dollars. And all of the content is great, right? So it's like it used to only be Netflix was the one spending it. They were licensing a ton of great content and they were building new content.
Yeah, and they were taking chances. They were taking chances creatively, but everyone's doing it now. Like Apple's doing it. HBO,
the bar's been set so high. Yeah. That I just wonder if they can continue to grow or if now with so many options, people are really going to start looking at it and going, all right, well, I can get HBO and I can get Disney Plus. Is that going to replace Netflix? I don't know, but it might in our house.
No, I will tell you this much. Disney Plus has done something like they've jumped in and they've made a splash with this release. Like truth be told, like my Facebook feed, all the parents on there are like, I've seen so many people mention, hey, we're Disney Plusing it tonight, whatever,
I
with
mean,
the
for
kids.
$7 a month, it's kind of a
Yeah,
no-brainer if you have kids, right?
everyone. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, inevitably the price is not going to stay $7 a month, but their goal is to get people on the service. They've already said like we're going to be super liberal on logins, so we're going to allow people to basically share passwords, right?
We're not advocating that, people,
No,
but
but I mean, like that's basically what they've said, right? They're just like, we want as many people as possible to sign up for the service, and I know eventually it'll go up, but I mean, they have the backlog, they have the content.
so let's see here. But the thing that's missing with this cord cutting is you still, at least for me, and you know this, is that I don't get good reception with my for the local channels still. And digital, like right now, if I were to fully cut the cord, I'd have to buy into like a sling or something like that to get the local channels.
Yeah, I mean, that's still the challenge. I'm shocked that there hasn't been. Well, I mean, I know some of these
I
first
subscribe to
starts,
CBS. I subscribe to
like,
CBS, so I have to pay. I'm paying them like $4.99 or whatever it is to my Apple account. But that's
I
ridiculous.
mean, I
I'm
think
paying
it's
for free
sad that
television.
these.
I'm paying for free television.
I know it's crazy, right? And I think it's sad that like some of these like early startups like Aereo, that was basically putting the little antennas everywhere. It started in New York City, and I don't think it expanded from there because it got sued out of existence.
Yeah.
They were basically putting individual antennas and then allowing you to get the locals and stream them remotely. So that's kind of the catch is that for me, the only thing I really want to watch live is football on Sunday. That's the only thing I really care about in any of like the NBA finals or NHL or like whatever. So live sports for the finals. But I have an antenna here and I get good service, so that's not a big deal. But I could see how that would be somewhat of a deal breaker. I don't know of any of the services except for like Hulu Plus, where it's basically a cable replacement, right? For like $50 a month is like the only one, those type of services that are the ones that offer the locals. I don't think there's any other, skinny bundles that offer local channels right now.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if you lose local channels and you don't have cable, right? Let's say you adopt the cord cutter mindset, like, where are you getting your news from? I
Dude,
mean,
you still watch news?
I do still watch the news. I mean,
Oh
I'm in
man.
news. I'm in the news, my friend.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I don't watch local news. I mean,
But
that's just me.
you don't. But a lot, like, but then how do you get your news, right? Like there's a portion of the population of the American demographic that doesn't like to read, right? They want to watch news on television or on their mobile device, but they want to watch it. They don't want to read. They don't have that time. Where do those people get news? Like local,
Well,
like
I
you don't
don't
have
I don't know
CNN. You
because
don't
like
have
I
CNN.
said,
You don't even have Fox News, right? Unless they start giving away their service. So you don't have
no.
you don't have MSNBC. So those are like three. Like that's, and when he talks like politics, right? If you want to be an informed electorate today, you don't have those three news
Well, you're
providers,
making
and you don't
the
have local
assumption
channels
that
either.
you're going to make the assumption that people don't read, which may be the case, but
I'm
I
not saying
read.
all people. I'm saying a part of the demographic. There's some people.
I don't. Yeah,
You have to
I don't
serve the whole
disagree.
entire.
I don't disagree, but I think that portion of the population is getting smaller. But I would agree with you. Like, if you need locals and you want to cut the cord, it's still cheaper to go get a Hulu Plus subscription than it is to have a cable package. I mean, like hands down. I think like Hulu is running at like $50 a month.
That still sounds expensive on top of broadband. So the broadband $60. Now you're $110. That sounds like a cable package to me.
It basically is. I mean, they're gonna get their pound of flesh, like,
yeah.
No matter like, you know, uh, they're gonna get their pound of flesh no matter what. $44.99 for live TV. So, and you've got YouTube TV. So I mean, you have options if you really want to cut the cord and still get locals. But I think I don't know. I'm not. It's hard for me to talk because I don't watch the locals except for like sports and a few live events. But I think that portion of the population is probably shrinking.
Yeah. For better or worse, I guess. We'll just find out what the new world looks like. 24 minutes we've eaten up. That's not too bad.
Yeah. Um, all right. So, kind of the last topic today. So, the format for this, we're going to try to do like 3 topics and keep it, under 45 minutes. I guess we thought maybe 30 minutes, but apparently we like to talk. So, HomeKit Secure Video was just finally released from Apple. I think it was at Worldwide Developers Conference. So, basically, this is a service. So, if you've got like a Nest Cam, or you've got like a Logitech Cam, or some of these other ones, they all, when they first came out, they all had their own recording services, right? So you would record, 7 days, you could store it in the cloud, etc. But then all these news outlets started reporting on like Ring Video Doorbell and Nest, and having third-party contractors reviewing the footage, for quality assurance, and basically like peeping in people's houses or peeping at their front door or like whatever it may be. And a lot of people started freaking out. So Apple released this like secure HomeKit secure video. It basically allows you to use your iCloud storage. It actually doesn't count against your iCloud storage,
Oh, is
but
that
instead
true?
of uploading it to like Logitech, it goes somewhere in your iCloud, and then you use your Mac or your iPad to do the same kind of like AI learning on like when there's an event or someone shows up at your house, without it going to a third party where you can't control that data. What are your thoughts on this? I know you're a big like Nest Cam user.
I am a big Nest Cam user. I have one. I have two kids. So there are Nest cams all over the place. Not necessarily to keep an eye over our nanny, who we love, but just to know, right now we have a 4-month-old, so it's nice to be able to hear her. We have like a duplex. We have 2 floors here in New York, so sometimes it's hard to hear when the kids are downstairs. So we like the service. Um, to be honest with you, the software is great. Like obviously, it's got the Google polish. The user experience, the UI is top notch, but the service up until recently was terrible. You would get dropouts, so it wasn't reliable as a baby monitor. But since Google kind of took over the Nest brand again and kind of brought it back into the mothership fold, the service has gotten a lot more stable. It seems like they're investing resources back in. Uh, I'm sure there's that probably. I can't imagine how many millions of cameras they probably have streaming through their cloud. But like you said, there is a problem. Is that we're concerned now, right? Uh, Nest just updated all their cameras, or Google just updated all their cameras, so that the little light that indicates whether someone's viewing or not, it's always on. You used to be able from the settings to turn that off, just to keep it. If you don't like a little green light flashing in your room, you were able to turn that off. But now they have it on because of privacy concerns, and obviously
Oh, they
like you said,
did?
yeah.
I didn't realize they did that. I mean, I used to have a Nest Cam in our old house, and I thought that was like pretty good. Like we did the same thing. We bought it for a baby monitor. We had some weird dropout issues, but nothing crazy. It was basically the old drop cam, and they were pretty good. When we moved to the new house, I wanted to get something that had like HomeKit support, so I went with the Logitech. I forget the name of it. Logitech Circle 2, I think. And its HomeKit support was kind of buggy too. So I wanted everything to be in the Home app. It was there, but it didn't always update or was like super reliable. So I'm hoping with this new HomeKit video, I'll be able to just look at everything in the Home app and go right to the video feed and be able to use that versus the Logitech app.
Yeah, you're like a fully into the walled garden of Apple's doing there. I'm like teetering between, right? I'm mostly HomeKit with my lights and everything, and we have motion sensors all over the place. But then we are still in this Nest world, and I have Nest sensors in the house too, and I've invested more into that. And it's a lot, right? I got like 3, 4 cameras in the house. I don't want to sell those, get rid of them. Like the wife's used to it already. Um, but I don't know. Should I switch over, Tom? Like you made that
I don't.
change.
Well, the only reason I switched is because we went to a new house, right? So I kind of get to put like push the reset button and rethink everything. I mean, 4 years ago when I kind of went down this like smart home adventure, there wasn't as much integration. And what kind of drew me over to the Apple side and like HomeKit is that I used to have like 5 apps, right? and you'd be like, one was for like the blinds, and one was for the Nest, and one was for like the lights, right? And then when they came out with a home app, it was like, oh, if I just get HomeKit stuff, I just go into one app and all these devices show up, and then I can control them or do whatever or automate. I mean, I haven't really automated anything, but you can control it and everything's in that app. And so when I went to the new house, I went with the Ecobee, for the thermostats, because that's HomeKit. So that was nice before I had the Nest. And then I went with the Logitech Circle 2, which has been pretty good. And then, the Hue bulbs, which all fold into HomeKit. So my HomeKit screen's pretty awesome because I'm looking at it now and everything's in there, and I can do some automation. I can see what's on in the house, and I can see my 2 camera feeds, and, it just kind of all works together.
Yeah, that is annoying. I have to jump between 2 applications, right? Like the Nest is set up really well. HomeKit, I think the software actually leaves something to be desired still. They've made some good strides in iOS 13. They've polished it up, but I think they're still trying to find their path there with Apple and their UX design team for that app.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like the design is maybe not the most amazing, but I think the functionality is there.
It's there. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've got a lot of Hue lights. I've got the Nanoleaf Auroras and their Canvas. And it's just like every little sensor, everything shows up. And then like I have the Hue motion sensors, right? But the motion sensors also have a light sensor in there, and I think it's an audio sensor. And like each one of those shows up in the home app as like an individual device. So one device is actually like 3 tiles.
You can delete that, right?
I know,
you can
but
hide that.
I know I can't, right? I've hidden them.
You know that, right? And
I
you can
do,
clean it
and
up. That's what I had to do because I got a bunch of those motion
that's
sensors
hassle.
too.
That's a hassle.
It's like 2 clicks. It's like not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. But I had to do the same
like
thing.
You said, it's going back to the software. I think the software needs to be polished a little bit more.
Yeah, because I've got like a lot of devices in here. I even hooked up my garage door the other day. Oh yeah, I'm all the way in the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, clearly.
So I had to get a new garage door opener, right? And when it came out, I saw on the side. I didn't even pick it because my garage door was jacked up. So I just hired somebody to come out and like replace it.
So
and I was just looking.
Hold on, what exactly does a smart garage do, Tom?
You'll like this. So anyway, this is how far I am in the HomeKit. So I'm like looking at the garage door opener and it says Wi-Fi on the side, and I'm like, huh? So I look it up and I can control it via its own app, right? But if I buy this like $59 box and attach it to it, it shows up in my home app. So here's where it's cool. One, I can ask Siri, like, is the garage door open? And she'll tell me, and I can close it from there. But actually the cooler part is when I am at, with iOS 13, if I have it hooked up to CarPlay, and like the new visual dashboard, with like all you've got like the map, you've got your
the new split, it's like our semi-split screen kind of.
Yeah. So when I get close to home with the Siri shortcuts or whatever they're calling it, it knows I'm close to home, and my garage door just pops up on that screen, and then I just tap it on my screen,
like a little
and
button
it opens.
pops up. That's
nice. It's actually pretty cool.
It's like on-demand garage door opener.
It tells me if it's open or closed, right? So like if it's already open and like I'm pulling in, around the block, then I don't need to do anything. But if it's closed,
so you got a new garage. Number one, you bought the device, had it all hooked up. You had incompatible garage door. You got that thing replaced.
No. So the garage door opener was compatible, but they require, you could use just their app alone, right? Yeah. But it was another app, or you could spend, like I said, like $59, and then it just goes into HomeKit. So I was like, well, if I spent all this money,
you also replaced the door.
Oh yeah, I replaced the door. So I'm like, if I'm gonna spend all this money on the door and the garage door opener, I can spend another $59 and make it HomeKit, and that way, I don't know, it's just kind of cool.
Just to live out your little Tony Stark dream.
I
But we
mean,
all want to live out that dream.
it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's probably one of the cheaper HomeKit devices, and it's kind of cool. I showed one of my friends the other day. I'm like, watch this. Hey Siri, open the garage door. Don't do it now. Don't do it now. Okay, it's not listening. And it just did it. Like, it took like 4 seconds, and then the garage door went up, and they were like, "Oh, that's cool." So, I mean, once you're in the ecosystem, you kind of want like as much stuff within reason to be in the home app.
Now, with the family, particularly the significant other, would she agree with you in terms of everything you've done to the house over the past couple of years?
So here's the funny part: when we moved into the new house, um, when I was first doing it at the old house, she was like, "Oh, this is silly. We have to like do whatever. You got to ask like Alexa to like to open the blinds or use an app. Well, you could still use the remote." When we got to the new house, we're like 2 months in here. She's like, "I kind of miss all the smart home stuff," which I was actually shocked at. I didn't think she would say that, but she was like, "I kind of miss all the smart home stuff." So she seems to like it. You know, we didn't have to replace blinds here, so we don't have any like motorized blinds, but we've got a bunch of like, smart speakers around, couple Apple TVs, and then, the Hue and everything else. So it is kind of nice. I mean, once you get used to it.
Yeah, I would say my wife had the same experience. I don't even understand it. When would you get these lights and it's silly and da 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 da. But now they're all connected. Like I haven't touched a light switch in a while. There's like for the kids' rooms, the lights are manual still, but everything else is on a motion sensor besides our bedroom too. But then you just walk through the house. When you have your hands full as like a dad carrying a kid in one hand, like a bag or whatever in the other, like it's nice to be able to just walk through the house and the house like lights up and as you walk through it, and then turns itself off. So I
I
don't have to
know
get yelled
that is
at
pretty
turning
nice.
off the lights.
Yeah, that's kind of like a killer feature.
Yeah, absolutely. But HomeKit secure video. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe I will get rid of my Nest, but then I get rid of the Nest thermostat too, which I kind of like. And I know, like, with how my electricity is wired here, if I go with like the Ecobee or like the Honeywell, I'm gonna have to like freaking hire an electrician to get that like an extra
I
power
don't think
wire.
so. I think they're all wired pretty similar. Once you have a Nest up, I
The
think it's
Nest
easy
one
to
has the
swap it
least.
out.
It's like the least amount of require, like the least energy drain because of the one specific situation. But
Oh,
I'll look into it. But the Nest cameras, it would be nice. I'm a little paranoid now with like all these companies trying to train their AI. I mean, Apple did get caught like with having like Siri commands like reviewed by humans. But here, Apple's making that promise that this is secure. So for people where you might be sensitive about your kids being recorded, right, or being some stranger who's paid to like type notes up about videos to stare at your kids' nursery room or whatever. It's a little creepy.
yeah, I got it. So I think that kind of concludes that. I was gonna do like maybe we can do like a pick of the week. I don't know if you've got anything that you've been enjoying lately
Pick of
that
the
you want to,
week.
whether like hardware, software, anything.
Yeah. What's your pick of the
Or I
week,
can go
Kyle?
first.
You go first.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, I got one of these Shuttle Express. I don't know if you've seen this. It's mostly for like video editors. It's like a little dial. Like back in the day, I used to have one of those Griffin like Power Mates. It was like a chrome dial that like did a couple different things. Had like one clicky button.
Yeah.
And with like lately, I've been kind of looking for just like a multi-purpose dial. And so I got this Shuttle Express to do some video editing, but it also like serves as like multi-purpose where you can program it depending on what app you're in to do a lot of different functions. And I've been really digging it. So it's got like five buttons on it and then like 2 jog dials. And it's been great for a video project I've been working on. And I'm going to be working it into like my Lightroom workflow. And I might even just like see what I can get it to do on like the regular, Mac when I'm not in any like specific apps. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm still getting used to it, but I definitely like it.
It looks like kind of like the same idea. I just Googled it. I didn't know what you were talking about, but it's kind of like to me, it looks like the Surface dial that Microsoft has, right? That they've demoed, where it's like
Yeah.
depending on the app, you can program it to jog through video, or as a volume switch, obviously in your audio software. But it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah, and that's kind of what got me thinking, because it was like the Surface dial is actually pretty cool, and there's not really anything on par on the Mac right now. And I just like the alternative input devices. Like I've got like a Wacom tablet, I've got the Shuttle Express, so I feel like that has kind of renewed my Mac for me as far as like interesting input devices besides just like, keyboard, mouse / trackpad, right?
Nice.
So it's been kind of cool to explore. And like I said, with the video project, it was great. And I'm going to find other ways to kind of make it work it into my workflow.
Nice. What's my pick? I don't know. Have I tried anything? I downloaded Catalina over the weekend. I finally bit the bullet. I did that. So far,
did you get it working after your initial issue?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really so much an issue. I just there's some problems with the software. I haven't done a clean install for a long time, like many years. Probably, I think 2013 when we moved back to the States. So there's obviously a lot of preferences and settings in there that was slowing down performance. But my memory drain it's staying around 70. I have 64 gigs on my computer, so I've been about 370. Like it's been more like when I don't have a lot of apps running, it's more stable. Before you can just see if I don't do anything, if I don't restart it, there would be a memory leak, and you just see my free memory allocation going down. So it's not stable. It's still pretty snappy. I don't miss iTunes. I think the music software is okay, though. It's kind of frustrating if you lose internet connection for whatever reason. All of a sudden, all your music dies. So there's been some bugginess there where you can't play. You have to quit the player if you lose an internet connection. But overall, not bad. I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind it either.
Awesome. Yeah, I like the new AI in photos. They've improved the faces, the facial recognition. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. I like Catalina. You've had a good experience.
Nice.
You finally jumped over. I jumped over because you were my guinea pig, Tom.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to try out the new sidecar feature with my iPad.
I haven't even played with that yet. I gotta try that out. Actually, thanks for the reminder.
And it's been, pretty good. I find some use out of it. Not quite as useful as I thought it would be, but overall, I think it's a good upgrade. Then some of the features are nice. The security is kind of annoying, but I kind of get why they did it.
It's very intrusive. A lot of those. But what they just said back at the WWDC is like Catalina, and it makes sense, right? They're cutting off all support for 32-bit apps. You gotta be 64-bit native now. So they were really just drawing a line in the sand and preparing for, I think, the next step of the Mac platform. Obviously, they've signaled that they have not abandoned the Mac with the release of the new Mac Pro coming out in a couple of weeks in December. And then the renewed focus, releasing a new Mac Mini, which is what I have, fully spec'd out. And then with the release of the 16-inch MacBook Pro, they're really showing that the Mac is not a forgotten platform. And they're going to continue iterating and improving on Mac OS. So I'm excited to see what the team over at Cupertino has to come.
Nice. Well, I think that's it for episode 1.
Nice. Tom, congratulations, my friend. I'm sure
you too, my friend.
This is a great learning experience. We'll probably get better as time goes on, but we look forward to hopefully hearing back comments eventually once we have comments for them.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Peace out. Bye, guys.